Okay, so picture this. The date is December 31st, 2025. And after this, just immense silence. A story starts to bubble up to the surface. A memory basically brought back from the day.
And we're not talking about a few years here. We're talking about a gap of 145 years. Just let that sink in for a second. That's almost a century and a half. A whole history, a people's story, was deliberately buried. But now, something's changing. A voice is finally starting to cut through all that quiet.
So what was really going on here? Well, for the Kazakh people in this specific region, their history wasn't something that just faded away. No, it was actively erased. I mean, intentionally hidden from the very people whose story it was.
In the source material we're looking at, wow, it puts it so bluntly. It just says, the memory of the colonized was erased. That one line, it just hits you, right? It really captures the weight of that silence, the fact that it was manufactured.
But this is where the story gets really interesting. Because that memory, that whole history, it wasn't actually gone forever. It wasn't destroyed. It was just dormant. You know, like it was sleeping, just waiting for the right moment to wake up.
And this creates such a strange situation, a real paradox when you think about it. Right there, on their own land, the story was basically forgotten. It was a total blank. But get this, out in the rest of the world, it was being kept safe, preserved.
So you're probably asking, where? Where was it hiding all this time? Well, it was kind of in plain sight. It was living in global archives, tucked away in scientific research, scattered across hundreds of academic papers, and recorded in the files of some of the world's biggest institutions. The evidence, it turns out, was there the whole time.
Okay, so if the history was always there, what changed? What was the spark? Right? This is the crucial part. It all boils down to one person, a single individual who decided it was time to bring this story back home to his people.
And the voice leading this charge, it belongs to a 74-year-old elder. In his culture, he's what's known as an aksakal, which means a respected leader, someone people listen to. And he's been the one carrying this story, getting ready to finally break that century and a half of silence.
His name is Sapar Iklim. He is the one giving this lost memory a voice again. He's the human face of this incredible historical comeback.
But that leads to a huge question. Why now? What's the point of all this? And honestly, this might be the most important piece of the puzzle. The intention here isn't to just dig up old pain. It's about something way more positive, more constructive.
Sapar Iklim makes it crystal clear what this is not about. The goal is not to point fingers, it's not to blame anyone, and it's definitely not about dividing people. You know how digging up the past can sometimes lead to conflict? Yeah, this is about avoiding that.
Instead, the real goal is simple: to heal. It's about connecting generations of people who've been totally cut off from their own heritage. It's about rebuilding that bridge, that connection that silence had stolen.
So where do we go from here? This isn't just about looking back at a history lesson. It's actually an invitation, an open call for the entire community to join in on a journey of rediscovery, and it all kicks off in 2026.
And what does that journey look like? Well, Sapar Iklim is asking everyone, countrymen, listeners, readers, to get involved. He's saying, let's study this history together. Let's talk about what it means for us right now. Let's figure out the lessons, and together, let's reclaim the story that was taken from us.
And all of this, it all leads to a really powerful takeaway. The ultimate goal here is to make sure that something like this can never, ever happen again. It's about building a future where a people's memory is simply unbreakable.
You know, the source itself says it best. It gives us this incredibly powerful line, because a people who know their history will never allow it to be erased again. And that's it right there. Knowing where you come from, that's your best defense. It's how you make sure you're never lost.
And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? I mean, this is the story of one community, sure, but the idea behind it is universal. It kind of makes you stop and wonder, what part of your story is just waiting to be heard?